We've all heard the saying, be kind to people on your way up, Puel, meet them again on your way down. But for Lucas Harrington, a wealthy CEO who thought money made him invincible, that lesson came too late. When he arrogantly insulted a humble janitor, he had no idea that karma was already plotting its revenge. Within days, his empire crumbled, and the man he'd looked down on became his only hope. This is a story about pride, downfall, and the unexpected twists of fate that remind us true wealth isn't in your bank account, but in how you treat others.
And what time you found this video.
And leave a like and a comment. He was used to snapping his fingers and seeing the world race to follow him, since he was the chief executive officer of Harrington Holdings. A penthouse with a view of the city, expensive suits, and luxury automobiles were all things that he had. Do you have any idea who I am? Nearby, there was an elderly gentleman dressed in a janitor's outfit and holding a mop in his hand. Maybe if you did your job right the first time, you wouldn't have to apologize. An embezzlement scam that included millions of dollars being transferred into offshore accounts was discovered by his board of directors. His assets were blocked before midday, and his reputation was in shambles by that time. At that moment, he grabbed his wine bottle and walked out, leaving Walter standing there, unmoved by the situation. I received no response. All of his purported companions disappeared. He was even unable to reach his fiancée via phone. He was in a precarious situation where he had no money, no supporters, and a jail term that was imminent. As well as this, he never shied away from reminding them of it. Let's get back to the story. Perhaps, just perhaps, they were looking to fill a position. Walter was in the back. There was no longer any arrogance on the part of the millionaire. His fashionable stubble had turned into a ragged beard, and his fitted suit had been replaced with items from a junk shop. When Lucas finally managed to swallow his pride, he went back to the grocery shop. My second job is also a plant that I own and operate, she said. I prefer to maintain my modesty and see how others behave toward individuals whom they consider to be beneath them. We are looking to expand our workforce as a minimum wage. Are you in? He drew further near. You failed that test. In his whole life, he had never been in a position where he could avoid saying, "Let us know where you are watching from." The haughty billionaire and the unassuming janitor and their lives' character was the issue at hand. The guy he had offended, Walter, had more of it than he ever had or had ever had before. One of the people who thought that money could make kings out of mankind was Lucas Harrington. He scarcely noticed the people around him as he went down the spotless aisles, his Italian leather shoes tapping against the marble floor. There was little doubt that he would put in a lot of hours in the office, where he would yell orders and sign agreements. But real labor? Is it the sort that results in your hands being rough and your back being painful? Isn't that the billionaire who lost everything? He looks pathetic. I was never as intelligent as I falsely believed I was. We are facing a challenge. As a result of the delayed delivery, one of our most important customers has decided to withdraw from our services. Take care of it. At that moment, Lucas caught Walter's eyes, and he stopped himself from snapping at them in order to remind them of the person he used to be. There was no sound coming from the elder guy. He did not have to do it. However, the remarks that were said were unfiltered. He remained late in order to hear the ideas that were made by the plant workers. He was able to learn their names. The shipping crew was running behind schedule. He even assisted in loading the boxes. This was reserved for lesser men. This is what he used to believe, but you've still got a long way to go, which he invited Lucas to visit one day. Because of this, he stopped wearing his previous luxury timepieces. He ceased longing for his previous existence, and I want you to take over as CEO, not due of his name or his history, but rather because he was making an effort for the first time. When you insulted me earlier that evening, you are not the same person, and that is the only reason I am contributing to this endeavor. Once a month, each management, including himself, spent a shift alongside workers who were just starting out in their careers. You've been here for 2 weeks? Tell me, what have you learned? That is, until he accidentally stepped into an area that had just been swept again. After spending the day attending board meetings, Lucas made a pit stop at an upscale grocery shop in the evening to purchase a bottle of wine that was imported from another country. After a young CEO, with a lot of potential, made a snide remark to a janitor working at a fancy hotel, the concierge discreetly drew the janitor aside. He was so embarrassed that his cheeks was flaming with shame as he barely caught himself on a shelf as his foot slid. "Watch where you're mopping, old man." Lucas lost his temper as he brushed the dirt that was invisible off his $5,000 suit. Walter, a quiet guy who worked as a janitor, merely stared at him with eyes that were calm and possessing knowledge. Said the words, "Sorry about that, sir," gently. "The floor's wet. I'll put up a sign." Lucas laughed in a mocking manner. After a period of 3 days, the unimaginable occurred. By the time Lucas arrived at his workplace, the doors were shut, and his security clearance had been rejected. In a state of panic, Lucas phoned each and everyone he knew. Something came to his mind at that moment. Walter, who worked as a janitor, had said before that he also had a second job at a manufacturing facility. While Walter was having a break in the rear, Lucas approached him. Lucas started out by saying, "Walter," in a weak voice, I need a job." He looked at him for a considerable amount of time before nodding his head. "I figured you'd be back." He blinked his eyes. "What?" He was given a business card by Walter, who had taken it out of his pocket. The text read, "A Graves." Walter Lucas's mouth fell in shock. He smiled to himself. Lucas's face was ablaze with embarrassment. "But," Walter said, "there is no one who does not deserve a second chance." Lucas took a heavy breath in. "Yes, sir." The next day, when Lucas was pushing a mop across the manufacturing floor, he finally realized that riches was not about money. Karma had achieved its full potential. It was not true that Lucas Harrington had ever worked a single day in his whole life. Currently, as he scrubbed factory floors under the scrutinizing eye of Walter Graves, the guy whom he had previously disregarded as a nobody, he felt the weight of his hubris like shackles around his neck. When they finally caught sight of him, the other workers murmured. A simple room with a view of the factory floor rather than the skyline of the city was the location of Walter's office. In a relaxed manner, Walter leaned back in his chair and stated, he hesitatingly spoke. He was looking for anything to say that would be remarkable, something that would demonstrate that he was still superior to this. What I discovered, there was a nod from Walter. "Okay, it's a good beginning." It was a file that he threw onto the desk. He blinked his eyes. You have a degree in business, in case you were wondering. Would you say that was merely for show?" For the very first time, Lucas collaborated with other individuals rather than dominating them. And gradually, something that was not intended occurred. He successfully acquired their respect. The more experienced guy grinned as he provided Walter with the answer, which was a simplified logistics strategy that had the potential to rescue the contract. "Not bad," Walter said. The months went by. After beginning his career as a floor sweeper, Lucas moved on to manage modest projects and then whole departments. After that, Walter revealed a shocking revelation one day. His statement was, "I'm retiring." Lucas came dangerously close to choking. "After everything, The correction that Walter made was, "because of everything you've done." 2 adjustments were made by Lucas on his first day as the new chief executive officer of Graves Industrial. The executive parking places were eliminated by him. His initiative was known as Ground Floor Day. Lucas just grinned in response to the question the reporters had about why a previous billionaire would operate a corporation in such a manner. "Because the man who taught me everything I know started as a janitor." After a number of years, a narrative propagated across the corporate world. "Be careful," the concierge hushed in a low voice. "You're looking at Lucas Harrington. His name is on the property." And with that, the cycle started all over again, but this time with a little bit more consideration for the other person.